Welcome to the Men of Honor podcast. My name is Corey, your host, and today we're going to be talking about romance versus intimacy. It's one of the most misunderstood terms when it comes to relationships. In my journey is going into my relationship with my wife, and as we are on this journey where we're trying to find our way. In fact, we've been together for over 10 years, married for 9 years. We're slowly beginning to discover different things about ourselves now. It's taken me 9 years to actually be intimate with her. So when I say intimacy, most people think it's sex or stuff like that. It's not quite that. This is a different thing. When romance, she said to me once, "You're not very romantic." And what it means is that I wasn't demonstrating celebrations of love per se. So, and this is what basically is romance, and it's the distinction between intimacy and romance. So the romance, and I think for us to actually dig deep and actually understand what romance is, we have to discover where it's come from. And it's only recently that I discovered that it actually was a term coined by the French people, and they were referencing to as a method that was developed by the Romans. And basically, back in the olden days, they used to marry people based on social status and classes or money or, stuff like that. So if you were from a certain class, then you'd only marry that sort of same class. You wouldn't marry somebody who was rich couldn't marry somebody who was poor. And in that, because of that, you'd find people that would be put together that were not compatible, and then they would be married and have children, but then they would end up finding love outside of marriage. So in order to overcome this, the Romans decided, you know what, we're going to let everybody sort of fall in love, and then if they have to start demonstrating those feelings of love to that person by presenting gifts, by doing certain celebrations, and through those celebrations, we understand that they love each other. Then we'll all get married, and then so it was this sequence of events that would happen, and they would the Romans. I don't know what the Romans called it, but when the French saw it, they called it romance, which means the Roman way, or the way the Romans did it. So basically, now because of commercialization, we now have romance, and we've got different ideas of what romance is. So when we look at romantic novels or romantic films, or they've put it to a feeling. So it's not a feeling. Romance is not the feeling. Romance is the certain things that you do in order to make or create the feeling, or at least creating the environment so the feeling can appear. So and something that I actually spoke about briefly on the Men of Honor Facebook group, where I was talking about how you can create an environment to elicit a certain emotion. It's something that I learned from a book called Persuasion. And basically what he was talking about was that the example that he gave was that there was a handsome gentleman that was put in a mall, and he was going to be asking girls out for, can I have your number? Can we go out for a date? And they put him on a random shop. And when he was asking the girls out, he was not getting any success. I think they said he got something like a 50% success. But when they put him in front of a flower shop, a florist, where there was flowers, where it had signs of what you'd associate with romance or being in love, so roses and stuff like that, he had considerably more success. So close to 90%. The girls said yes, because there was the environment elicited an emotion of romance. So therefore, she was more susceptible to that. So, and this is vice versa with men as well. So in this case, that's exactly where the mindset was for the Romans, the Romans, where this would have come from, where they would do a series of things in order to woo a woman, in order to feeling in love, and then once they do those certain steps, you would get into a position where you get married, and then when you get married, this is where the important bit is, and the distinction where it lies is that when you get married or you're with that person, the intimacy comes into play. Now, what's this got to do? What's romance got to do versus intimacy, and what's the end goal of this? This is one thing that a lot we've spoken about in the Men of Honor Facebook group, which is a support group for men, and it's to do with sexual appetite and matching sexual appetite between partners. And I think the main one and where we're driving at is fulfillment within that, and fulfillment in a relationship in terms of sexual desire, and fulfillment within a relationship as in the contentment of that you're happy with the partner, your spouse, is a very important part of your life in order to make a difference, whether it be living it by design or giving that complete freedom. In fact, part of complete freedom is not just financial, it's actually stress-free, lust-free, stuff like that. So it becomes very important to understand the distinction between the two of romance, that you do certain romantic things to elicit an emotion, and then you can do certain things in order to get intimate. Now, when we get into intimate, comes from a Latin word which describes intimacy. So enter into me and see. So you look what's inside of me, something that I cannot share with somebody else, but I'm willing to share with you. So it speaks of vulnerability, of being able to show a part of yourself that everybody sees, and that alone, that shows that I trust you to see this bit of me. And because you're seeing it, then you're giving me an opportunity to see in a different way. And that's one of the things that creates that desire, because desire is, this is going to be shocking for you guys because it was shocking to me, that desire is actually killed by romance. Because romance, when you do the romantic things, you're trying to show that you're secure, you're somebody who can be dependable, you can be this. So you do things that creates comfort for the other person, and by doing so, those are things that are associated with parenthood, which is a passion killer on its own. And not just that, but it's also the fact that if you think of a train and a roller coaster, the principles are the same. So you're carrying people on a carriage and they've got wheels and a track. But the experience in terms of thrill and excitement is different, because one is just, safety. It's all about safety and keeping safe and comfort and everything else like that. The other one is about adventure, risk and everything. So when it comes to intimacy, there's a lot of risk when you share deep, intimate parts about yourself. Hence the reason why there's that added risk. But there's also the parts of yourself that you're showing that she's never seen before, or he has never seen before, that gives them a new person, so per se. So almost like discovering of something new is important, because this is the reason why our forefathers have traveled across the world and built aeroplanes and built ships, because it's within our DNA to want to discover. So being able to discover your person is one of the key things of having that closeness and that digging deeper into fulfillment. And there's this concept that I heard recently where they said that being able to create distance or close distance is one of the key things of creating that desire. So what they mean is that whenever you go away from your partner, you feel quite desirable and everything else. But one of the key things that the separation makes you revert back to who you were when you're not together. So when you meet that person again, you give off, it's a certain vibe of that you've got a freedom and stuff. So that sense of freedom and you being able to be relaxed and creates that chemistry that is passionate. So if she's away for a weekend or something, when she comes back, you got this most passionate encounter whenever she comes back, or he comes back, whichever, you get this excitement, and it's because that you're seeing them in a different light, a light that you're not used to seeing them in. And this is where intimacy becomes important, that being able to share, because as a human being, you're constantly evolving, whether you've changed a new job that changes you somehow, whether you've put on 10 pounds of weight that changes you in a certain way. And every time you're vulnerable enough to share that you're scared, or you need some strength, you need some help, all these things that you can share and allow your partner to be a part of, allows them to see you in a different light. So it's not only the vulnerable side as in you're scared, but also the side that is playful and dangerous and mischievous. Because when you think of sex, it's not as Dr. Esther says, it's not a thing that it's not a thing that you do, it's a place that you go to, and that place is within yourself. So you're discovering what it is about yourself that you find arousing, of what's that about yourself that you find sexy, and how can you share that bit of yourself. And because she can discover that new thing about yourself, then you're most likely to be showing her something that will be exciting to her, and vice versa. So a good example of this is a couple of years ago, I said to my missus, it was just a random statement. I said, oh, by the way, I had a dream about Wonder Woman. And most women would have been saying, why would you dream about Wonder Woman? What's the matter with you? You're cheating on me, and should have been upset by the whole thing. But she didn't. We just laughed it off like, oh, that's a weird dream. And the weekend after, she said, oh, can you just go upstairs and wait for me in bed? I was like, okay, no problem. And then she just walks in with this Wonder Woman outfit. And that was almost so incredible, because it just showed her in a different light. And there was so much excitement and so much desire. And part of it is that when the arousal process went, and then we did what we did, the passion lingered for days and days and days and days. And the reason why it lingered is because it was me seeing in a new light, new playful light. It was something that we could joke about, and something that with an inside joke about Wonder Woman and everything else. So even up until today, whenever Wonder Woman is brought up, there's a twinkle within our eyes that we share. And now, when I think of it, I think of that these are the things that we should have been cultivating. I didn't know this information I know now, but now that I know it, it's something that I'll be definitely wanting to cultivate, in terms of being able to show myself in a different light. And this is where it comes down to the difference between intimacy and romance, because romance is something that I did quite recently, where we went for our anniversary, and I bought some fake candles, some rose petals, and I lit them all around the hotel room with lights, and made it look quite romantic. For her, that changed her state in terms of feeling loved, that I'd spent time to make this for her. But in terms of creating a seduction, that was now going to be me having to step it up and show something different of myself. That was good to create that desire. That would have initiated a bit of the sexual desire, but to take it to the next step, I needed definitely to do something else in order to make it going. So hopefully I sort of spoke clearly on the difference between the two, and how you can actually implement having intimacy and not using romance as much as, because I think there's a complete focus in terms of the buyer-seller culture, or the market. There's definitely a culture of promoting romance as the thing that every couple needs, yet that's the thing that is destroying your desire. And so it's absolutely insane when you think about it, that the fact that you want security and everything else is literally like a normal train, But for you to create that passion, desire, and fulfillment, and everything else that you want in a relationship to make it feel exciting again, you need to be on a roller coaster. You have to get that risk, a bit of that unpredictability, a bit of that vulnerableness, a bit of that sharing more of what's your utmost, innermost desires that you wouldn't tell anybody else. Because I'm married for 9 years now, and there's things that I've shared recently that she wouldn't have known unless we got into a difficult situation. So we got into a difficult situation, and I ended up sharing things that I'd never shared, not even with not anybody. I've never shared with anybody, and that is what's been the catalyst for us getting closer and working on our marriage in a different way, in a different light. So I hope this has been helpful. If it's helpful, please go and join the Men of Honor Facebook group. We create content like this. I'm now working towards trying to make more contents like this every single day in the Facebook group. So it'll be short videos where we can just take actionable steps to making a better marriage, but not just that, but for us to live life by design. So we have a better family life, better work life, or better income, better at everything. So that it's not, life is not just a drag. It's not just a thing that you do. It's something that you can actually be a part of and make a difference in this world. So thank you very much for listening. If you're a lady and you're listening to this, unfortunately you cannot come onto the Facebook group, but if you know a man that could benefit from this, please give him the Facebook group name, which is Men of Honor, and I'll put it on the description, so you can just copy and paste it. I'm working towards getting a link because I think the links don't work on these podcasts. So thank you very much, and I'll be seeing you soon. Wow, that was